Have you heard of the term strewing? It pops up in unschooling and homeschooling circles. Although in the homeschooling circles, I think they've altered the meaning and the intent. Unfortunately, this can make it a little confusing when it's really not. Strewing is simply placing things in a child's path for them to discover or not. But let's talk a little about how it works and how parents might misunderstand it a little bit. I'm Sue Patterson, and this is the Unschooling Mom to Mom podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm on a mission to help parents see that unschooling really does work. We just need the right information, a little support, and some action on your part. I can help you with all of that. So let's dive into strewing. Strewing is a term that surfaced back in the 90s on the AOL message boards. Sandra Dodd referred to it, and the term made sense to a lot of people. When I hear the term strewing, for some reason, I visualize Legos strewn all over the floor. I think there must have been some funny Irma Bombeck story about this or something. But strewing really is just what it sounds like, casually leaving things in a person's path or line of sight, like scattering seeds in a garden or sprinkling a path with flower petals. Those are better visuals than my Lego thought. I think I'll work on replacing that. I'm going to give you some key points to think about. But if you're looking for some ideas about strewing, grab the unschooling guide I've made for it. It's called Strewing. Clever, right? I'll get you the link in the show notes. So, what is strewing? Strewing is when parents leave things out that they think their child might be interested in, or something interesting that the parent discovered moving through daily life. Strewing is about giving children the opportunity to discover something new and expanding their world. It may be expanding only ever so slightly, or it may turn into a huge jumping off place. Strewing is about feeding that natural curiosity that lives in all of us. Strewing is about focusing on the present only, what's in front of us right now. Strewing can be things like magnets in a basket on the table, or road trips to places we're curious about, or conversations that relate to what's happening in the child's world. I think the biggest key to successful strewing is not being attached to whether the child is into what we're offering. You'll want to look at your own motivations and see if you might need a little more deschooling depending on what you're leaving out. I have an unschooling guide for that too. Show notes. So, what are you putting in their paths? Toys, items from nature, curious finds, but also conversations and excursions out into the community. What they're not, though, is bait to get the kids to do what we want them to do. This is where the homeschooling community gets a little off base. Strewing flashcards and saying, sometime this morning, okay? That's not strewing. If you find yourself hoping they open that algebra book that you've laid out on the coffee table, that might be another red flag that you might need a little more time with deschooling. Strewing is about finding something you're pretty sure your child might find interesting and strewing their path with that. Not sugarcoating for trying to get them to do some kind of schoolwork that has been bothering you that they're not doing. Because another important piece about strewing is the idea that kids get to choose freely. They can take it or leave it without worrying about, will this make mom happy? This helps them explore their own curiosities and gives us more data about them. It helps us know what we might want to strew more of next time. Maybe they rejected something because of timing, or maybe they're more tactile learners. So maybe many variables exist for why something may not be a strewing success. That's why pulling our ego out of it is important. It's not really a strewing success or not. It's just data for next time. So another tip is to not overthink it. Strewing can eventually become second nature to you. When we approach life with our eyes open to what's in front of us, instead of mentally checking off items on our to-do lists, we notice things on our own path. Instead of worrying, what shall I strew? You'll begin to think more like, oh, hey, Mikey would like that. It's hard to get to that place when you're busy configuring how to move those kids through the various hoops we've been convinced are important. Most of the time, that's our own conditioning that needs to be reconsidered. But once you do that, you can live in the present instead of worrying about the future. And you can simply enjoy finding little things that make your children's eyes light up. Strewing involves knowing your kids well. And if you've just brought them home from school or they've been forced out of school during the pandemic, you may just now see things that your children are doing that you hadn't realized when they were away from home all day long. Their interests change over time. This can even be true for families that have been homeschooling or unschooling for a while. We're in this unique situation where we're all home. Parents have opportunities now to see how kids have matured or grown without having to catch a quick look as they're running out the door to meet friends or get to a rehearsal or make it to practice. So that's a huge advantage to unschooling. You get the chance to observe and learn about the kids. You don't have to orchestrate some wildly complicated plan. You can relax. While you're relaxing, you're getting to know each other as partners, as people who change and grow, sharing a life together. So don't forget about that unschooling guide about strewing if you're ready for more ideas, including some journaling pages that'll help you get a little more clarity on how strewing can work at your house. Also, I'm starting something new that you might want to tap into. It's called A Cue for Sue. If you have a question, I have a link that will connect us. I'll get you an email with resources that are specific to you and your question, so you won't have to wander around the internet searching for good unschooling material about something you're worried about. I'm excited about 2022 and all the new ways we're dreaming up to help more families embrace unschooling. Get reassurance, all the knowledge and support that you need to be successful at unschooling. So that's it from me. I hope you have a great week with the kids. Enjoy all the wonderful things that pop up into your path. Reach out if you need some help, and I'll be back again next week.